Hey, I've been judging a lot of photographs lately. Lomography, the company, contacted me a while ago and asked if I was interested in being a judge in their photo competition. So I've now been giving thumbs ups and thumbs down to a bunch of pictures, and some of them are absolutely gorgeous, marvelous photographs. And then many of them are pretty bad. I guess I'm entitled to my opinion for this one time, since I was officially asked to be opinionated. Then there's a bunch of pictures that sort of fall in between these two extremes. And they make me think that like a little bit of editing would have done a great deal, because editing to me is as important as pressing the shutter. And I almost started to edit some of those pictures, but then I thought that that's probably not a part of a judge's work. I'm not supposed to edit them if I'm judging them. So I didn't. But I thought I'll share some of my editing tricks and patterns here with you, because I seem to repeat them over and over again. And how do I edit my pictures? It also influences greatly my style. My pictures look the way they look because of how I edit them. I use light and contrast as my main means. I shoot black and white, fairly minimalistic, and I'm interested in three-dimensional view, depth. And then I wanna play with those things in my edit. I also copy. And I copy especially painters. I'm more fascinated by paintings and copying painters than photographers. I'm especially fascinated by 18th and 19th century landscape painters, regardless of if I shoot landscape or something else. And the reason why I'm fascinated by them is that they really mastered the use of light, but also the use of three-dimensional view. That's my impression. There's an interesting body of work from a group of people that call themselves the Hudson River School. Painted a lot of landscape that are maybe not that extraordinary of what they show, but the use of light is magnificent. I put one link to the description page if you are interested in studying more about them. But this movement was founded by Thomas Cole. Let me show you one picture from him. It's called The Garden of Eden. And this picture clearly shows how the light in the central part of the image, but also in the background in those mountains, has been used to create this three-dimensional, really dynamic view. There's also a lot of vignetting going on, and this composition is really nice because it focuses your eye to the middle. But in this video, let's concentrate on light now mostly. And let's take another picture from Thomas Cole and do an editing of my own picture in Lightroom based on Thomas Cole's work. So this is the picture. We are not going to copy it, but we're going to take some inspiration. This is by Thomas Cole, view of Shrown Mountain, 1838. What I like about this picture is this three-dimensional view. With light, he has sort of created this very clear distance here. Then he also has amplified something in the background here, putting these clearly, away from each other, creating this depth. And this is something that I now try to do with my photograph. And let's start with this one. This is a road in Ireland. We went there last summer, and I like this view. There's a lot of air, but it's too flat. So now what can we do to make it equally interesting? So we start to work with light. And I look at some places where I could add some light. So I'm thinking this area here is definitely worth amplifying. Let's create a mask on it and make it a brighter. Just bring it out ever so slightly. Now the problem with this thing is that you can easily go overboard and then it no longer looks natural. So I may need to come back later. Then something that I always like to do is to emphasize the foreground with light. So let's take something here. Maybe this. Let's see what it looks like if we bring it out a bit. Add a bit contrast. Yeah, maybe. I don't know yet. Maybe. Then there's this sort of boulder here. Let's see what it would look like if we bring it really close. Okay, then we add contrast to the entire picture. That is now very clear that we need to make it more contrasty. Maybe even brighter, get a little bit more blacks into the image. Now we can bring the foreground out even more. So as you can see, this is sort of forth and back. Is this already too much? Let's make this a little bit. What about this ridge? There's this little ridge over here, so let me bring that out ever so slightly. Yeah, now the question is this already too dark here? I don't know yet. Then let me work on the sky. You know, as in this inspirational picture, the sky is pretty dramatic. So let's add some dramatic elements to the sky. But let's leave this one white so that it once again gives us more the distance feeling. Maybe a little bit like here. Yeah, this in my eyes is now too dark, so let me put a little bit more light there. Okay, this picture looks like this, and the starting point was this. This is where we started from. This is where we are heading now. And I might have gone too far, but what I wanted to show you is really this three-dimensional depth that I guess I managed to amplify. Also, the fact that the sky is now darker, it almost like gives me a permission to do these things down there. You can imagine that there are light rays coming through the clouds and creating these different lighting conditions down on the earth. Hey, let's take another example, and this is a different subject, but you can see that I use the same tricks here. The inspiration is now from the old world. It's by William Turner. And this really resonates with me. There's a lot of space. I love the leading lines both sides, and it sure reminds me of the pictures I take here in my hometown, you know, with you know, this kind of atmosphere. Now I don't have the river here, and I don't have those burning thingies, but I got somewhat similar kind of feeling here, or I'm gonna make it a little bit similar now. So what has happened to this picture is that there is light at the foreground to make this water really visible here and create this path of light. I think I can do the same, and then these are a little bit in the shadow, these both ends, to provide this leading lines and this pressure towards the middle, and then there is quite a bit of vignetting, which I like too. So let's take this as an inspiration and see what we can do at my hometown. So I would immediately add some contrast to this picture, and then just the simple trick of adding light here to the front. I think this is gonna already make this significantly better. Like this. And then we wanna maybe add, because these are so dark now, these sides, maybe adding a tiny bit of light here. I'll actually open the shadows a bit. Yeah, no more than that, and the same at the other side. By the way, it's really difficult for me to explain and do these at the same time, which I'm trying to do. Hey, and this creates a nice vignetting now that I added this bright light here. Maybe we can even do something here and pick up this dude, even though he is almost invisible, but just to these kind of little things actually sometimes add the details that then make this final image better. This was our starting point. I mean, it's a nice composition, I like this a lot, but I think that I managed to create more three-dimensional view that goes to the end of the street. Here's the same kind of play of light and same kind of darkness here. Hey, let's do another William Turner picture here. William Turner was really a master of painting light and painting water, and he was also a master of creating this perspective on water, this three-dimensional view where he used light as a main means to create this depth and perspective. And let's use that as an inspiration and see what we can do with this image. There's a surfer, windsurfer coming to a shore. Now this is a fairly challenging starting point, as this is a Holga picture and it's not that sharp. But I'm not sure if it matters, because I'm not sure if this Turner picture is that sharp either. Well, it is pretty sharp. But anyways, so let's see what we can do. As a plan, I want to make the sky much more dramatic to follow Turner's inspiration. Then I want to make this foreground more light. Now I got some spray here and some waves, but I got also some rocks, so I can even make it probably more dramatic. I have less action going on the sea, but I got something. So I have similar ingredients. Let's first work on this foreground. By the way, this is by far, as you've seen, my favorite tool, this kind of a rounded mask, because I can get it not so aggressive. I can emphasize areas, but I can get the edges soft. And also, this is something that I would do in my darkroom. Classical dodging tool. Let's add lighting here. This is totally out of focus, so I'm not sure how nice this is gonna be, but let's make it more contrasty, so then the focus sort of is not so critical. Okay, like this. Maybe a little more light to the side. Get that rock. Yeah. Let's make this whole picture a bit more contrasty once again. Yeah, I like these pictures when I've scanned them so that they are not too contrasty. I can do a lot of stuff here now. Then we make the sky much darker, because this is what this is all about. if it's going too dark. I still want to remind you, this is a Holga picture and you should look at this more like a watercolor painting than an oil painting. Yeah, just comparing. Yeah, I like there are these white clouds here, so I want to keep this horizon white. Maybe we can actually make that one even darker up here. Yeah. Now somehow I would like to get him out a bit more. Let me see if I can do something about the surfer boy. So this is where we started from. Now we are here. And once again, let's forget about that being a Holga picture. Some of you don't like Holga pictures, I know. But if you look at the three-dimensional view, I think I have greatly improved the three-dimensionality and really the depth. And I also claim that I managed to bring the focus to the surfer guy in the middle, compared to where we started from. And here was our inspiration. This is our result. I always start my process using analog tools. I shoot on film, photo paper, whatnot. But then when I do editing, I may do it digitally or using the analog process. If the final result is going to Instagram or some other digital wormholes, then it's fairly easy to do editing digitally. But whenever I happen to shoot a frame that I really like, then I want to go to my darkroom and use fully analog workflow. Now I feel that in my darkroom I do my best work. It's an environment that allows me to truly concentrate on creating the final photograph, and it also both empowers and limits me in the way that I feel extremely fulfilling and creative. Hard to explain. I know some people who used to spend half of their life in dark rooms don't want to go there ever again, and I respect that. But if you have never been in a dark room and if you never really use it for creative purposes, I'm not talking about job, I'm not talking about like doing customer work there, but really creative work. I mean, you should try it. I find it extremely empowering. Now the process is different, but I still use the same tools. I add light, I remove light, I work with contrast. So let's take here an example. It's slightly different than the earlier ones, but I use the same tools, same process, same thinking. It's a fairly flat negative. This is just a scan of it. I turn it to positive, and now I will do some fairly strong edits to it to emphasize the three-dimensional view and then really to simplify it, focus on what's essential. So let's go to my dark room. So here's the final image then, and I think that I managed to greatly improve this fairly dull and flat starting point. First of all, I removed some of the stuff on top of it, the horizon and all that. That's of course, I mean, you could argue that that would have given it more depth, but I just wanted to simplify it. I'm a minimalistic person. Then what I wanted to do here is to emphasize this middle, this few grasses, and really create a focal point here. And how I did was that I added light to the middle, created a little vignetting. Then I used two different contrasts. For the edges of this picture, all the light is contrast 0.5. So there's not a lot of dynamism in the edges. But then the middle part is greatly enhanced and focused with contrast 4.5. So I added light into the middle, but I also added contrast into the middle part of the picture, therefore making the picture more dynamic. And hey, by the way, there's one more street view pictures. Now this is from the same street, the one that we did earlier. And once again I added some light here. Now this is a silver gelatin print. This has been done in a darkroom. So adding light to the front is the main edit that has been done for this picture. Also there's a play of contrast here. If I'm not totally mistaken, I once again added a little bit more contrast to the center of the picture to make this person pop, and then adding light. And then the last thing that I want to do with my pictures is to add negative space, not only at the time of taking a photo, but when creating the final photograph, framing or printing it. Wide edges, to take it out from the reality, to give it its own universe. And I'm so obsessed by the frames and the space around the picture that I even do that for my Instagram images. I always add, white around them. And then if I'm looking at the photo books and they have pictures that go all the way to the edges, it simply doesn't, I don't like it. It feels like a mistake to me. Like you need to have these frames. It just gives this picture authority and a reason to exist. I don't know how else to put it. And I do it, of course, when I'm framing, but also when I'm printing. I often print it so that I create already for the paper these frames around it. And it's extremely important for me. So these are the kind of edits I do to create space with framing, to create three-dimensional view with light, adding lights where it matters, mostly to the closest of the viewer. And then of course to do the basic cleanup by cropping and making sure that it's not tilted. It's actually fairly simple theoretically, but of course then your artistic view and what do you really want to get out from it, it depends, and you need to create your own style. But these are my tools. Sorry, this video was a bit longer than it was supposed to be, but I hope you survived. Thanks for watching. Next time something else.